All right, hey, it's January 30th, 2022, Lake the Ozarks Fishing Report. Uh, Boy, we haven't been out a whole lot in the last few weeks. Been out maybe 2 or 3 times a week, just enough to kind of keep us up to speed of what's going on. Not a lot's changing. They are starting to pull the water just a little bit. It was 657.8 something. So we're going to say right at 2 foot below winter pool. It's kind of like this is kind of how I'd like them to pull the water in the winter, just kind of gradual, maybe 6 inches at a time, 8 inches, and hold it for a while, and then gradually move it down instead of just dropping the bottom out. It just it moves them fish, but it moves them slow, and kind of gives them a time to readjust. As they drop the water, and then as that water really cools down, it's kind of two different things going on at the exact same time, and it gives these fish a chance to kind of adapt to the different conditions. Water temperature, boy, if you're on the lower end or on a big part of the water, it's still hovering around 40, 41. You might see 42. We keep getting these warm, sunny days, a little wind, and that'll keep that water up hovering around 40, 42 or so. Now we have been in the back of a lot of creeks. You get in the way in the back of some of these creeks, it's 37, 38 degrees. Denise was out yesterday and fished some creeks and said she really couldn't get too many bites back there. That water's 37, 38. When it gets down around there, these fish might feed once a day, and they don't eat a whole lot. And you better be in the right spot doing the exact right thing when they move up the feed. That being said, you can still catch them. You just gotta slow down, cover the water real thorough, and just be patient on these fish, because they're going to eat sometime during the day. You just got to make sure you're fishing the exact right stuff at the right time when they move up. And, it's all about timing in the winter. 4 or 5 guys can hit the exact same bank. And the first 4 don't catch a fish, and the last one, catches several good fish off of it, or vice versa. The first guy might catch them, and then the last ones don't. So it's all about timing. Just getting out and fishing the exact right stuff at the right time. And what is that? Well, right now, what we've found to be most consistent is obviously a steeper bank. It doesn't have to be real steep. I don't know, 30 degrees, 45 degrees. Those are good banks to start on. But these fish, they'll move around a little bit. They'll move right up to the bank. They might get 2 foot off of the bank. And then some days, for whatever reason, they'll back out and they'll suspend out there, way off of the bank. You might be sitting in 15, 18, 20 foot of water, throwing excuse me, a good cast up to the bank, and them fish are suspended in 10, 12 foot, halfway back to the boat. So it just depends on what mood they are, and you just got to really pay attention. And if you're not getting bites, switch it up a little bit, back off, fish for some of them suspended fish, and then at the same time, maybe fish for some of them fish that are on the bottom. Let's see. Last weekend we fished a tournament. It was a Bass and Bob tournament. Denise and I fished it, and we caught a lot of fish. So actually, a lot more than I thought we were going to catch for that day. And we kind of stayed. We stayed from the toll bridge down towards maybe the 6 mile marker, and then up the gravel a little bit. We kind of stayed in that little area there. We went out Sunday afternoon a little bit and caught a few fish, so thought, well, we can catch them in that area instead of running a whole bunch. We kind of stayed down that lower end where that water was a little bit more stable temperature-wise, and it was mainly all open, as far as any ice, anything like that. And going off of that day, a tournament day where we're fishing all day and fishing hard, all day long. We caught a few fish on the stick bait. Actually, Denise was throwing the stick bait, and I was throwing a bait on the bottom. Denise was actually throwing, this is an old Smithwick Rogue. She was throwing this, and she was catching a few fish. Caught some of the some keepers on that. Throwing on 8-pound test on the Falcon. This is the Falcon Expert Jerkbait Special. Really good rod for it. Spooled up with 8-pound test on a loose reel. That's her setup. Was working real good. She was catching plenty of fish, but they were just keepers. We were glad to have them to begin with. And then she was catching a few on that bait, and then I started throwing the this is the Mega Bass Pearl Color. I caught a few on it, but it's the same deal. We was catching a lot of shorts, 14 and a half. Well, I say a lot of shorts. I think throughout the whole day, we probably caught 20 fish, maybe 22 fish, and about half and half. Half were keepers, half were short. So I don't know. I'm going to say that's an average, probably above average day for this time of year. At least it has been for us. Now, like I said, we was catching keepers, but they were small keepers. So we switched up to do something different and maybe catch some bigger ones. And we went to Old Reliable. I started throwing swamp bug. This is the Moss Candy swamp bug rigged up on a 1/4-ounce Crappie or Shicky football head. It's just kind of a reliable bait. It's a bottom bait, obviously. It's a smaller head, a 1/4, so it's kind of finesse. It moves slow through the water, but it's enough weight to keep that bait vertical, like that bait's supposed to be. You want it. That football head works better. It gets that bait up, and keeps them legs, all them appendages moving a lot without moving that bait. A lot out of the strike zone. If you can keep that bait sitting still and moving like that, it tends to get the attention of a fish, and a fish will come over and pick that thing up. So I started throwing that and started catching a couple better fish. We did notice if you caught a fish, if you slowed way down, you could catch a couple more right there together. I think the first solid fish was probably 3, maybe 3 1/4, and I caught it on the Moss Candy. And then right away, Denise switched up and she started throwing the green pumpkin red flake. So when we're throwing a swamp bug, we're always trying to throw 2 different colors. If we're really fishing slow, the thought is if I can catch whatever I can catch on this Moss Candy, and maybe a different fish, different mood, different look. If you're throwing a different color, like the green pumpkin red flake or green pumpkin orange flake, that might entice a bite that I wouldn't have got on this. Right now that watercolor, we was down around the mouth of the Gravois, and it's probably at least 4 foot visibility, maybe 5 foot, real clear. So color can make a difference. When that water's that clear, movement, and both the stick baits and a bottom bait. So keep that in mind. We're throwing that on 12-pound test fluorocarbon. I'm throwing that on a finesse jig rod. This is a Falcon Cara, and on the Lew's Hyper Mag reel 8-to-1. That's my setup for it, mainly because it's extremely light, and this whole light setup. It doesn't matter if it's this setup or a different setup. A really light rod reel setup is really going to help you feel these lighter baits on the bottom, and as a fish will pick it up and just pick it up and hang on to it, just barely move, you're gonna pick up on that bite a lot better than if you're trying to fight the resistance of a heavier rod. So that's the whole purpose of a light rod and reel setup. In the wintertime especially, you're just gonna feel the bites better. So keep that in mind if you're out looking around picking out rods and reels. Um, so we caught several of our keepers on that swamp bug, probably because we've got a lot of confidence in it this time of year. I know a lot of guys are catching them really consistent on the stick baits, and a lot of guys still catching them on jigs too. I talked to one guy out there, I guess it was Saturday, and he was fishing a big jig out 20 foot of water. We weren't fishing it that deep. We were concentrating probably 5-6 foot of water to about 12 to 15 foot of water is our range we was catching them in. Throughout the day, and especially in the winter, you're going to have fish that might be suspended out there 10-12 foot of water. You might have some that are down on the bottom at 15-18 foot of water, but when they decide they want to feed or snatch up a shad or a crawfish, they might move up, and they might move up in 5 foot of water, 3-5 foot of water, and feed for 35-40 minutes, maybe an hour, and then they're going to back out and stop eating. So just keep that in mind. You can fish from 3 to 5 foot of water all the way out to 20 foot of water in the winter, and also suspended. So that's what makes winter fishing can be tough, because you got to fish slow. So sometimes it takes a while to figure out exactly where they're positioned and how they're feeding, whether it's a suspended jerkbait or something on the bottom. One of our fish, I know our last fish, because we caught it like 10 minutes before we had to go weigh in, was on the little Crappie or Zapper jig. This is just that Ozark crawl with the green pumpkin red flake ring crawl on the back of it. Kind of also a go-to bait. What made me switch was I pulled in on a little brush pile, isolated little brush pile. I knew it was there, and a jig will definitely come through a brush pile better than like a shaky head, like that shaky football or shaky head in general. So I flipped that jig in there, and it'll come through that brush a lot better, a little cleaner, not get hung up. And I worked that brush pile pretty, all sides of it, and then right through the center of it, and ended up getting one more decent bite. We called out and went on in. I don't know, we had, I forget what we even had, 16 and 3/4 or something. So it was up there towards the top. I think it was just out of the money. It was pretty tight weights there. I think, it was a couple 16s, 17 and 18, so it was pretty tight. And then, of course, Brad and Brock, they had that monster 23-pound bag. So, for the most part, this time of year, all the tournaments the last 3 weeks, it's taken 19, 20, 23, 24. So there's big bags being caught. Well, you got to have a really good day this time of year to do that. But in general, if you catch 15 to 19, that's a pretty solid day in the wintertime. As this water continues to drop and gets down to in the 30s, that weight average is going to come down. You'll see that in the next 3 weeks. Just mainly as it gets colder, metabolism slows down these fish, and they're not going to feed as often. So your opportunity is shrinks. That window shrinks as the fish stop feeding as often. So when you start catching them, you got to catch what you can pretty quick. And so that being said, your opportunity to cull and go through a lot of fish is just going to shrink. So you'll see here in a few weeks, 12, 13 pounds to 16 pounds is probably going to be a pretty good solid bag. You're always going to have the guys. Someone's going to find them. They're going to find brush piles or a bank that's going to have some good fish on it feeding, and they're going to be there at the right time and catch them. So it's the Ozarks. 20 pounds is never safe. 24 ain't even safe anymore. We've got one of the best lakes in the country. So that's just contribute to all the good fish care with all the tournaments. We have a lot of tournaments, a lot of good fish care, and people take care of the fish, and that's showing right now. All the fish we're catching, and a lot of other guys are catching. You can see a lot of Facebook posts, social media. You'll see them at the tournaments. All these fish are being brought in. They're big, healthy, solid fish. Full. They just look really good and healthy. So that's really good. Always glad to see that. You kind of go through little spurts throughout the year. You might start seeing some of them little skinny fish. They just don't look healthy. And the rumors start flying. But if you see the fish right now and you're out there fishing, you catch a fish, it's real bright, real shiny, just looks real healthy. So that's good to know. The lake's in good shape. The fish are in great shape. As far as other baits to tell you, the finesse jig, that's going to be a good bait right now. Obviously we throw the Crappie zapper jig, both the 3/8 and a half. We did catch some on the Wheezy jig. We were throwing the Wheezy jig out a little deeper, so we wanted that 5/8 ounce jig. Put a little bigger trailer on it and drug it through some brush and caught a couple fish. But that's just that was a little deeper than I wanted to fish. But I know the guy that had a decent bag on Saturday. He had 18 something, and he was catching them out in 18, 20 foot, and we actually fished right by him as we were passing. And he said, I'm catching them 18, 20 foot. So we did that for about, 20 minutes and said, now let's go back to what we were doing, because you got to have confidence in the wintertime, no matter what it is you're doing. Go out there and fish something that you have confidence, whether it be stick baits, jigs, swamp bugs. That particular tournament, no A-rigs were allowed. I know the A-rig is catching some. We've throwing it not a lot, a little bit, catching a few on it, and this is just like the Flash Mob Junior, rigged up with the standard 3 hooks, the 3 on the bottom as that bait's coming through the water. There's no way that's all coming loose right now, but I want to show you here what I'm talking about. Okay, so when you're rigging up that the A-rig, you want your 3 hooked baits on the bottom as it's coming through the water, and then your dummies up here on top. These are just some little Strike King baits. A lot of these little swim baits out there right now, they all kind of look the same. This is kind of a smoked shad color, rigged on the Crappie Gator 1/8 ounce swim bait jig heads. Just a real good setup. The thing about the Crappie Gator swim bait jig heads, they make them in 2 different styles. One has a real heavy hook. If you're fishing just straight open water, say alongside docks, or you're watching on live scope, the Garmin live scope, you can see your baits now. You can drop them just right above the brush, so you're not in the brush. But they also make a wire hook that works real good if you're fishing, say, around cables, these big dock cables, or down into that brush, and you do get hung up, and you're throwing that 50-pound braid. You can just pull that bait, and that wire hook will straighten out enough you can get your whole bait back and then straighten it out. So one thing to think about if you're fishing them dock cables, or you're fishing brush piles and you're fishing in it, throw the swim bait jig head with the wire hook. So if you do hang it up, obviously you can get this whole setup back. This is probably, by the time you put the swim baits on it, the Alabama rig, the hooks, everything, 15 to 20 bucks. So you can pull that loose and get your bait in. This is just an old Falcon Expert rod. This rod, believe it or not, is probably 20 years old. It's a big stout rod. It's 7'2". It's got the you can see this is the Lew's Orange Crush with 50-pound Power Pro braid line. So nothing special there. This is more about where you put it, the speed, and getting on suspended fish around, like I said, cables, brush, what have you. The Alabama rig, it'll catch them. It's not a guaranteed bait. I'll be honest, I'm still playing with the thing. I talked to a lot of different anglers that seem to do really good with it. Just to educate myself on it to where I feel like I could go out and really catch a lot of fish on it. I've got a lot of confidence in other things, and I tend to sway towards that. But obviously it'll definitely catch them, and this is the time of year for that. Uh, there's not a whole lot else I can tell you, other than just some small tips, just on colors maybe. If it's cloudy, we'll throw stick baits with a lot of color on it, like this, with chartreuse, purple back. That's a mega bass. And then you got the old, Rogue, the same old Smithwick Rogue in clown color. That thing's been catching fish for years and years. A lot of these, you can play with them as far as if they don't suspend right, you can use the suspend dots on it, or you can wrap, the lead wire around one of these hooks. One of the hooks, one of the three, obviously you want it, well, at least I like it to suspend pretty level in the water. Just like a shad will, kind of dying, or they'll just sit there real dormant, and then they'll swim off. So when you're suspending them, you might play with it a little bit where the tail end sinks just a little bit, or if it's level, or nose down a little bit. That's one thing about the suspend dots. I don't have any right here. I'd show you, but Storm makes them. They're just suspend dots, and they're little lead stickered weights, and you real easily can place them on the bait wherever you want. And obviously you take that bait, reel it down alongside the boat, and look at it and watch that thing. And if it sits level, okay, it's perfect. But if you want it to sink a little bit, like a lot of these baits, these stick baits are made, designed to go down, I will say, from 5 to 8 foot of water, depending on your line and how you're working it. But if you're trying to fish a brush pile that you see on your live scope that's down 20 foot, you're going to want to weight these down where they sink. Not sink fast, but they sink slow. All right, and now sink it down. You can watch your bait on the live scope sink all the way down to that brush pile, and when it gets just above it, that's when you want to work it and see how close you have to get to that brush before those fish will actually come out of that brush. Obviously, some days them fish will sit and suspend right on top of them brush piles. Those are the easy ones. You swim that bait, let it sink down pretty close and twitch it, and they're a little more likely to come out and attack that bait. But you just kind of got to play with your baits a little bit to get it to suspend and sink down to that brush pile. Sometimes them fish in that clear water, they might come 6-8 foot to get the bait. And other days, you almost have to hit, land it right on their nose to get it. So you just kind of got to play with that, to get the fish to bite. But anything, shad color, if it's clear out, I do like these with a lot of color. If it's cloudy, there's so many different stick baits out, and they've been out for years. The old Lucky Craft Aurora Black, can't hardly beat that little thing. That catches so many fish. It'll catch a lot of big crappie this time of year too. That Aurora Black's a good one. The I call it table rock shad, little chartreuse kind of bone with that purple back. That's a real good one. You can just kind of go through the colors and work it, but it's like anything. A lot of it's where you're putting the bait and how you're working it. I said they're pulling the water a little bit. I've really been keeping track, and if you look at Ameren's website, they're running about 11 to 1,400 cubic foot, which isn't a lot, but from noon to 4, you'll notice they'll ramp it up, and they'll run 20 to 35,000 cubic foot for that 3-4 hour period. When they do that, a lot of times that'll move them fish, and they'll come up and feed maybe a point, secondary points, main lake points, bluff ends, maybe over them brush piles where they're settled in them brush piles. They start pulling that water real heavy. A lot of times they'll come up, and they'll come up to the top of that brush pile. So maybe keep an eye on that. and that's enough current to move these fish throughout the day and maybe spark them into feeding. So, and that's generally been mid afternoon. Maybe they're needing the electricity for a lot of these businesses around the lake. On a real cold day, they'll ramp it up to generate electricity. So just maybe keep an eye on that. And a lot of times, if I start really catching fish at a certain period of time throughout the day, rather be on the bottom or on stick bait or whatever, the first thing I'm gonna do is pull out my phone and see what they're doing with that current to see if it's making a difference in that bite. I always try to figure out what caused them fish to bite better in the winter, whether it be morning, midday, late day. Is it current? Is it clouds? Is it sun? Is it a little bit of breeze? I'm always trying to figure out what sparked them fish into biting in the winter, because whatever caused them to bite in the winter, you can pretty much guarantee throughout the winter, when that conditions or them situations occur again, you're probably going to get a good bite. With that being said, you want to be ready throughout the day at any time for a bite, but I want to know the conditions and what's going to maybe spark them fish to bite, because if that starts happening, I want to be on my very best bank when they start feeding for whatever reason. So if that makes sense, keep that in mind. A couple other little things, like this Real Magic. I've really been spraying down our line a lot in the mornings before we go out, midday. It just kind of helps keep that line limber in the wintertime. It'll keep it from icing up a little bit, through the guides or through your retrieve. It just kind of helps condition the line. There's different brands of this. I just like the Real Magic. It seems to work really good. It's got a good spray nozzle on it. You can spray your reels down, and it kind of helps in the wintertime keep things thawed out. Other things. It's another thing in the winter is just being comfortable out there. If you're not comfortable and you're cold, it's not any fun out there. But if you're comfortable and you stay comfortable, it makes it a lot more pleasant out there. You hear me, I talk about these reapers all the time. This is my favorite hoodie. I've got several of them. They have good hoods, but they've got this little face deal. You can pull up, when you're running down the lake, keeps your ears warm, keeps your face warm. They're just a good quality material. It's got my pockets, like here, I'll take my gloves and I'll put my fishing gloves inside there. I might have 3 pairs of gloves in here, keeping them warm, rotating throughout the years. I've got my gloves, like these are these Avcos. You can see they have the good, they come up high on the wrist. You can cinch them up. These are my running gloves. Okay, I put these on when I'm running down the lake. When I get to where I'm going, I take them off. I usually, I either put them in my bibs to keep them warm for the next time I'm running, and then I pull out my fishing gloves and I put them on. And I've got a couple pairs here. Like I said, I'll have 2-3 pairs stuck in here, keeping them warm throughout the day. So when you're fishing, you don't want to necessarily have a big heavy pair on. It's hard to cast, it's hard to feel, just everything with it. So I rotate through gloves, keep them inside here. Another piece of clothing I really like that APCO makes is this down jacket. It's really light, and it's down filled, so it's extremely warm. I like the black color, dark color. Obviously, it absorbs the sun. You put this thing on it goes on easy. But the thing I really like about it is when I put it on my overcoat, it slides on and slides off extremely easy. I may put my heavy coat on to run down the lake, but then once I'm where I want to fish, I don't want that binding me up too bulky. I'll take that off, and this coat here is sufficient, but it slides on and off. If you've been out there with a lot of clothes, you know what I'm talking about. You're trying to get your jackets off, and you're pulling them, and the sleeves coming off, and and everything else. When I'm ready to go, it comes off, and I can fish with this down jacket on, and you know, I'm moving. It's easy to move around. So just some small things I do in the wintertime. Just try to keep myself comfortable. The crappie are still biting. It's slowed down quite a bit. Let's see, Denise and I was out just the other day, and we were bass fishing, and they weren't really cooperating. So we caught some crappie. You know, we just switched it up, and we caught some crappie. Went in and we fried them up for dinner that night. So good fresh crappie. The crappie, we're still doing the same deal. We're just throwing this little Kitech swimmer. It's called Easy Swimmer, a little 3-inch Easy Swimmer. As far as I'm concerned, it's probably the best crappie bait out there. Brother Dave kind of keyed us into that, you know, a couple years ago, and we've been throwing that. We're just throwing it on a little 1/8 or 16th head. Sometimes you need it real slow. If you're trying to fish some brush piles that are deep, you might want to throw it on 1/8 ounce so it gets down there and you can watch it come over. You know, that brush pile doesn't take forever to get down there. If it's windy, you probably need to go up with the weight. This is a little 16th ounce. This is a little head we buy over at Hook Solutions over in Warsaw, over in Lincoln. Actually, it's between Lincoln and Warsaw. If you guys don't know about this place, it's over off of 65. It's called Hook Solutions. He sits right up on the highway. It's kind of a tan building with a red roof, and he's got a lot of tackle in there, a lot of rods, and he's increasing his inventory all the time. But he's got a lot of neat little custom things in there. He makes this little head. It's called a screwing around head, he calls it, and it's actually got the coil. Little coils on it that helps hold the soft plastics on there. But he's got a variety of different, like underspins. He's got spinner baits. You name it, he's got it. He actually pours lead heads there. So he's got a lot of stuff there. So if you're over there on 65, if you're coming from Kansas City or Clinton or coming up from down south and you need something, stop in and see Dave over there at Hook Solutions. He's got a lot of neat stuff. This is a little, we're throwing it on a rod here. This is a Fluger rod, Fluger Rio. Bought this at Fitz Fishing. You know, obviously you get here at the lake. Fitz Fishing has got 3 different locations now. Osage Beach. I guess one would be, Lake Ozark, Osage Beach, Camdenton. 3 stores, fully stocked all the time. Minnows. All the gear, whether it be bass, crappie, whatever it is, and all 3 stores have good, knowledgeable people that are going to help you out, set you up with whatever you want. You just go in there and say, I haven't been down for a while, what's going on? And somebody in there is going to tell you and lead you with the right info. You know, you get over here on our side of the lake, Sunrise Beach area, Sunrise Beach, Lori, you got Osage, or Bryant's Osage Outdoors, right there at Lori, right there at the junction of 135 and 5. Ed, Jamie, all them guys in there, Kevin, they'll help you out. Same deal. Walk in there, tell them what you're wanting to do, and they're going to set you up with the right equipment. They're not just going to sell you a bunch of stuff. They're going to set you up with the exact right equipment and tell you where kind of what's going on with the fish, what's been working. You know, all the tackle stores down here. Doesn't matter where they're at. Everyone talks. Everyone kind of keeps everyone kind of in the loop, you know. And between all it, the years of experience, you know, you're going to get the right info. It's basically you're not maybe some of these big stores you're going to. You're maybe not going to get the right info. The people giving the info may not have the experience, especially here at the Ozarks. So just keep that in mind. You know, boy, it's about all I can tell you. What's going on right now? You know, we've kind of taken a little break here. We kind of slowed down a little bit. But, you know, that's only because towards the end of February, things are going to pick up. March is going to be, it's super busy. This year, we're trying to figure out how we're going to fit everything in. We're going to be, you know, in Oklahoma a day. We'll be in Missouri a day. We're going to be all over the place just because of the way the tournament circuits are. There's a lot of good circuits out there, and we're like everyone. We want to fish them all. Sometimes you just can't. But either way, as always, if Denise or I can help you guiding down here on the lake, we'd love to take you out. Crappie fish, bass fish. We do every type of trip you can imagine. If you've never caught a fish in your life, come down. We'll help you catch them. We'll help you set up your bait, tackle, rods, reels, techniques, the whole gamut of what you need to know, whether it be crappie fishing or bass fishing. We can help you kind of get tuned in to what's going on in the wintertime, different techniques, places to fish, banks to fish, types of fishing, whether it be on the bottom, stick baits, whatever it is, kind of tune you into what's going on and just kind of help you out, as far as if you're not having luck doing certain things, we'll definitely show you how we do it and how we catch fish in the wintertime, then going into spring. Obviously, we guide 12 months a year here, and we're constantly on the water throughout the year to keep us up to date and on top of the fish and what's going on. So when you come down and you hire us, we're going to do everything we can, not just that day, but several days before, to keep you on fish and catching fish. That's our goal, is to make your fishing day a success. We take it very personal. We're not happy if we're not catching fish, if you're not catching fish. We want everyone having a good time. We want you to come back. We want you to have a good experience here at the Ozarks. So the only other thing I will say is it's winter time. The life jackets are a must this time of year. These suspended ones, these are great for, they're comfortable, but they're great to just stand on the front deck and fish with throughout, especially if you're out yourself. That water's in the 30s, low 40s. I can just tell you by experience, through working EMS, if you fall in that water and you do not have a life jacket on this time of year, the chances of you coming out is probably not very, very good at all. So just keep that in mind. Wear your life jackets so you go home, you can fish another day. It's not that big of a deal. Wear your life jackets in the wintertime, if not all the time. But mainly just fishing. There's not a lot of people out right now, so if you do fall in, you may not be seen. I don't care, even if you're yelling for a little bit. I just can't stress that enough. Just keep that in mind. It doesn't affect your fishing at all. Put these life jackets on. Keep them on in the wintertime, so you can continue to go home to your family. So other than that, guys, when you come down, be safe. The lake's wide open right now for fishermen. There's no big boats running around. They're all winterized. There's not a lot of traffic. You're just going to see other fishermen down here. The fish are biting. It's a real good time to come down. It should still stay good. I'm gonna give it another week or two, and then it's going to slow down for about 3 weeks in February. It normally does, but then it's going to pick up again real good in March. We've got some weather coming in here. What's this? This is Sunday, so we've got I think Tuesday is supposed to come in. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, cold weather, and some snow. As far as ice on the lake, all the ramps are open right now. The lake's wide open, but it doesn't take much. And I've seen it in the last couple of weeks, like in the very back of Lynn Creek, or way back of Gravois, it will freeze up, and it freezes up quick. So if we get these a couple days not above freezing, you can expect those ramps or those areas to freeze up. The very backs of creeks, they're hovering mid 30s. It doesn't take much, and they'll skim over. Your main lake, Shawnee Bend, PB2, Kaufman, those ramps will stay open. They're not going to freeze for quite a while, and if they do, I'll bring you up to date of what's freezing. So your main lake, you're halfway back in the coves, you're good to go. And way in the backs on the flats, they'll freeze up, but you're not catching any fish in the very backs on them flats anyways. So that's pretty much all I got for you right now. It's been a while since we gave a report, so it's a long one, but we'll try to keep after it. If it's only lake conditions, ramp conditions, things like that, we'll keep you up to date here the next several weeks. But until then, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.